Welcome to my channel. Today is the first time I introduce myself on this channel. I have been changing this channel's name from Rational Chinese to What a Wonderful World Mean 2028. Why I changed this name? Because every day I live in Australia and work here. Most of the days I feel like on holiday. Many people surprised. How can when you go to work you feel like a holiday? Yes, because I set a small goal for myself. That means every day is a holiday. Every day should be happy. Every day is a happy day. So I tried my best to be happy every day. Doesn't matter I'm working or sit at home and do some chores. I listening to radio to learn English and thinking about big issue or small issue of this world. And when I see a blue sky, listen to radio, listen to music, I thought, oh, what was a wonderful world. So I'm lucky to be alive, to come to this world and have a dream. So let me introduce myself. I was born 1st of April 1957. Now I'm 61 years old. Many people think, oh, you're an old man. But in my heart, I'm still young. That's why I have a dream. And actually, I realized many of my dreams before. Now I have a bigger one. That means I want to realize my meaning of life, enjoying life, and sharing my thoughts. That's a way to contribute to humanity. When I was born in China in 1957, at that time, Chinese situation was not very good. And when I was 3 years old, my father was sent to a reform farm. So-called reform farm is like a jail, but you have to work. You're the forced labor in a reform farm. What's his sin? No, he just had a bad temper. When he had a bad temper, he couldn't get along with some of the people, our neighbors, so they reported him. Then the police come over and say, oh, Mr. Fan, you should go to a reform farm, not reform farm at the beginning, you go, send you to study, to be learned for 3 months. But actually, he was stay there for more than 20 years. Until I turned to 25 years old, I went there and get him out. My mother worked for a tea shop. And of course, the income was very limited. And she had to raise up 2 kids, my brother and me. So life was very hard. And because I was very young and innocent, I couldn't feel that life was how hard. But I remember when I was 3 years old, there's a big food shortage period, about 3 years. And we didn't have enough food to eat. And we eat something, not food, but replace the food. That's a terrible experience. You eat that kind of food and you cannot go poo-poo. So it's very hard. It's very hard. Then we went through Cultural Revolution. The so-called Cultural Revolution is nothing to do with the Cultural Revolution. It's actually internal fighting of the Communist Party. But the people started to fight each other on the street, and even in our city, they use tanks and helicopters and the guns to fight each other. Because I was very young at that time, we went to Yangtze River to swim. We could see some people was shoot and die on the bank, but even nobody took care of their bodies. It was terrible. And at that time, of course, we didn't go to school. I was in a primary school, but we couldn't, all the schools stopped anyway. So I went on the street and read this big characters post and learned some Chinese words by myself and borrowed some books to read by myself. So from the very beginning, about 10 years old, I started to learn by myself, to learn the Chinese language, literature, and even Chinese music. I played bamboo flute for that time. And it was okay for me. After that, we went back to school. I was very good at school because I learned by myself. So we went to middle school and senior high school. Eventually, I went to a teacher's college. The major was to study physics. So I was working hard on physics and mathematics. But in my heart, I really like the Chinese literature. So I started literature as well. After I graduated, I went sent to a middle school to teach everything. Yeah, Chinese, physics, mathematics, yeah, etc. But so I found the teaching is not my really dream job. So I gave up and went out to do some small business. At that time, China started to loosen the control to the people's activity. So they let the people do some small business. So I started a small business. After that, I went to a newspaper. So I became a reporter, editor. So everything was new to me, but I had to learn. So I learned how to edit a newspaper and organize articles. Of course, naturally, I think naturally my Chinese writing was very good. So that's why when I became an editor, I was okay, I was qualified. Then I gave up the newspaper job and went to a book editing business. Assistant, then the boss was Mr. Yin. Later on, he started a motorcycle business. Now it's a big group called the Li Fan Group in Chongqing, produce passenger cars, motorcycles, and export to overseas. And his video is very good. But for me, I learned how to edit books from him. And also, I was a good salesman. I could sell some books. And after that, I started my small business to edit books as well and made some money. After I get the money, so I thought I want to realize one of my dreams to learn English. So I went to a foreign language institute to study English. At the beginning, it was very hard for me. Even if I had a dream, but my English was really very limited. I remember the first time on the class, the teacher called my name and I stand up. The teacher said, there is a map on the wall. I couldn't understand. What's that? There was a map on the wall. I couldn't answer. But after that, I started really hard. Day and night, even when I sleep, I put a recorder and the earphone to listen to tapes, English tapes. About 1 year, my English is getting much better, and even better than most of the young people. At that time, I close to 30 years old, yeah. And after 2 years I started there, then I get a chance to come to Australia. So I immediately tried very hard to get a visa. In 1990, I came to Sydney, Australia. Come to Australia, at the beginning was very hard. I went to English class, but I went to everywhere. I went to on the street, talk to people, went to those churches to practice English. Okay. Even I learned some English in China, but when I came to Australia the first time, the English is still very hard to understand. Maybe the Australian accent is different. So I overcome the problem for about 3 months. Then I was okay. And I went to railway, become a railway work. From station assistant to become a train guard. While I become a train guard, the income is stable and the family is okay. So I also try to help other Chinese students to get the permission to stay in Australia. So for my spare time, I was involved in this kind of activity to help Chinese students and look after their welfare. If somebody died accidentally, so I went out and organized some money and take care of funeral, etc. And it was good. It was good. Make me very busy. I had an office in the city. Most time I stay in the office, even sleep there. And until 1999, my old boss, the owner of Li Fan Group, came to Sydney and told me to go back to help him to run the company. I thought it was good. It was a good chance to go back to China and go back home in the city to do something more important, better than a train guard job. So I gave up the permanent job and went back to Chongqing and eventually become a vice president of the Li Fan Group, in charge of foreign trade and public relations. I traveled around the world, paid by company, 31 countries. So after 3 years of Li Fan working, so I thought it's not really my interest. So I gave up and I go on the street, organize English corner on a public square. I named it as International Culture Exchange. That was interesting. We have a stage every day. In the evening, we organize some school kids come out and dance, singing, and teach them with some English and English songs. And on the stage, encourage them on the stage to talk. Of course, we avoided those topics like Tibetan issue or religious issue or Taiwan issue. But other topics we could talk. It was good, and the government supported, and they think it's part of a culture, public square culture. They were very happy. I was happy. I want to expand it. So I expanded to another square. Then they don't want me to expand anymore. I don't know. Maybe they're scared of people get together and talk about something, and maybe they think it's dangerous. Then, even if the government paid me a little bit of money, about 5,000 yuan a month, about equal to 1,200 Australian dollars a month, I thought it was not good. There's no future. If you only run 2 squares, and it's not sufficient to support financially. So I gave it up, and when the big 2008, the big earthquake come over in Sichuan, so I thought, oh my goodness, here is not a good place for me and my family to stay. So I'd better go back to Sydney, Australia. So I fly back to Australia and try to start again. And I settled, and eventually I opened a restaurant. The restaurant wasn't very good, and I get my wife and my daughter come here, and got another job, or I did all kinds of different jobs. Eventually, I drive truck, and I buy a prime mover and drive semi-trailer. So the income and there is more stable. All these years, I was thinking about something. At the beginning, I said, "Oh, the people. Why this world have too much people? Why there's pollution? All this environmental pollution caused by illusion of human inner environment. So I thought we should improve inner environment. So I try to think about the meaning of life, think about the future or direction of the world. It looks very funny. An ordinary Chinese man at the age of 50 at that time started to think about something really big. But for me, I think it's natural. Because when you become old and you become mature, then you start to think about something, think about the future, think about the environment, think about the world issues. So I gradually found out some very interesting truths. So I started to write a Chinese blog at the Xinnan, write a blog, and many people were interested. I was happy. I did it at the night or the weekend. But after that, I thought I should think more, write a book. So I started prepare some issues and I find the answers and I keep talking to people. And most people, of course, I don't want to really talk to them because you talk to them, they think you're crazy. Why you talk about this kind of issues too far away from the daily life? But some people, Australian people, are interested. They were surprised. How can you get those ideas? So they are really surprised. I answered because independent thinking. Because in Australia, you can think whatever you really want to think. There's no bondage for you to think. And also the freedom of speech. You can express your ideas freely. Of course, you have to be careful and you don't offend some people's belief, some people like a religious belief or some political belief. So, and time again, my thinking have been proved was right. So I use this kind of thinking deal with my daily life, like my work, relationship with colleagues, co-workers, and also deal with my family issues. And every time I could handle very well. Even some people didn't like me for some reason, but eventually we become good friend. So I think if my thinking is useful myself and it works very well, why can't I share my experience, share my thinking to other people? So I started to share my thinking in Chinese, like a Twitter, blog. And eventually I found my thinking on my blog was welcomed by people. And when I was told my Xinnan blog, the Chinese blog, was viewed or passed by more than 30 million people, I was really excited. I said, my goodness, that's great, because the Australian population is less than 30 million people. So I go on the Google and put my Chinese name and find it's true, and it's still going, increase. So I think I may do something. So I work hard. I even take a psychology course. And yeah, then I get a dream. I should take about 10 years time to share my thinking and get more and more like-minded people. We work together and do the social education or find a solution for worldly problems. I think it's possible because there are a lot of good examples before, like Australian people, they set up a Clean Australia organization. From very beginning, pick up the rubbish on the beach and expand, become a UN project, become clean the world. Then other people like recently that I heard there's an organization called Landmark Forum. When I checked it on internet, the founder started as small and then eventually become big. So many people have done very well because they had a dream and they work hard on that, eventually realize their dream. So why not me? So I think I should start. That's why I want to use my YouTube channel as a start point and share my thinking and get more friends. We work together and maybe we can set up a news connection, something like a Ming and Associate. So we can use all kinds of communication tools to do something, to be more useful for this world. Because I'm old, yeah, I don't know how long my life will be finished. So that's why I'm raised with the time. I want to learn more and share more and to do much better. So let us keep dream alive. There is a will, there is a way. I'm sure we can find a way. Thank you very much.